I believe that we're all searching for our calling, looking for what truly inspires us, what truly makes us tick. For me, from a young age, it was always videography, photography. Watches didn't come until much, much later. Over the last few years, I've become really obsessed with trying to capture the world around me and trying to show others the ecstatic beauty that lies beyond their door, and hopefully that inspires them to walk through it. So this is me. But honestly, I promise you, it really didn't start this way. And I feel like I need to tell you about where the journey began. This was also me. A really insecure kid with no degree, no purpose, no calling, and no passion. Also, at that point, I think I was probably in with the wrong group of people, and that definitely didn't help. I think that I always had a passion for videography and photography, and that started from like a really, really young age. But I think I was really nervous because of who I was surrounding myself with, of what they would think of me, of the judgment that they would put on me if I tried something different to the norms of that group. And subsequently, that's when I discovered the club scene, a place where you could blind yourself with alcohol and forget all your problems. And that's kind of where the journey started. After that crazy period of my life, I decided that I needed a change, and a really big change at that. I needed to totally do a U-turn in my life. I was going down the total wrong path. I pretty quickly separated myself from that group that I was hanging around with and decided to totally pursue the photography and videography side of things. But the problem was I had no degree, no experience. I had no idea where to start. And on top of all of that, COVID-19 had just begun to hit. And it's no secret that the travel, videography, photography niche during COVID took some serious punishment because we couldn't travel. We couldn't go anywhere. Everybody was stuck indoors. It was a really scary time for a lot of people. And that's when I decided to screw it. Why don't I teach myself as much as I possibly can in the confines of what is going on in the world? Why don't I travel my beautiful home? Why don't I travel Scotland? Looking back on it, this was probably a blessing in disguise. Scotland is probably the most beautiful place in the world, and I'm so glad that I got to experience it. After around about a year and a half of traveling Scotland and discovering the beauty of Scotland, and also practicing videography, presenting, color grading, editing, all the stuff that goes into this, I finally had enough expertise, I finally had enough experience to begin posting my work. And that's when the Chisholm Hunter channel came around. Honestly, looking back in it, it's probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. It's one of the only places that I felt like I ever fit in this watch community. You guys are so supportive, so friendly, and even when the videos were horrendously bad, and I know they were, you guys were there supporting me encouraging me, and I'll never forget that, so thank you. But this is honestly where everything began to change. Jobs started pouring in. COVID began to ease and things began to open up, and the travel aspect of my life became weirdly normal. First up was Iceland.
Dead and kissed away, where innocencies burn in flames. A million miles from home, I'm walking ahead, I'm frozen to the bones. I am a soldier on my own, I don't know the way. I'm riding up the heights, all shame. I'm waiting for the call, the hand on the chest. I'm ready for the fight and fate. Iron shots stuck in my head. The thunder of the drums dictates the rhythm of the fast, the number of days, the rising of the horns.
From active volcanoes to moving glaciers, seriously, Iceland has it all. It's like being on another planet, it's like being on Mars, and it remains one of my favorite places to this day to visit.
The blood on my leaves again.
After Iceland, I returned to Scotland and began really honing in on the Chisholm Hunter channel, as well as my own personal videography and photography brand. When totally out of the blue, I got a call from a friend, and he asked me if I wanted to help him film a project in Lofoten in Norway. And to be honest, I had absolutely no idea where Lofoten even was. But my pretty impulsive ADHD brain kind of kicked in, and the next thing you know, I was on the next flight. Gregor just sliced the top of his thumb off, trying to fly the FPV from the car. Who's your favourite?
It's a hard one. I think I love you all equally.
Oh, fuck off. Shite! So we're just about to get some rolling shots over Nipple Mountain, as we've called it, and this is the setup. This is just not gonna work, is it? When I got back from Norway, I honestly was just hoping beyond all hopes that someone would recognize my work. Up until this point, I'd been pretty much self-funded. I bought all my cameras myself, bought all my editing equipment myself, everything that you need that goes into videography and photography, even stuff you don't think of like hard drives that cost a fortune. I was paying for them and I wasn't really getting that much money in, and this was becoming a problem. After about a week or two of me being back in Scotland and wallowing in pity because I had no money at all, I got a call from Adrian Barker, and he said that he saw my Norway video, which I just posted on YouTube, and he wanted me to help him with a project in Zermatt. At the same time, Hamilton Watches gave me a call and asked me to come out to Zermatt with them to fly around the Matterhorn on a helicopter. And you've probably caught onto the theme by now. I went. When I landed back from Zermatt, things began to really pick up. I mean, jobs were literally pouring in. I didn't know what was spam and what was real at that point. It was actually bizarre. And if it wasn't for my good buddy Drew that used to work on the channel with me, I probably would have missed the biggest job opportunity of my life. I had an email in my inbox from Canon. Canon had been following my journey on YouTube and on Instagram, and they quite liked the fact that I didn't have a degree, that I was totally self-taught, and they wanted me to take part in a learning series where I could teach everyone else what I knew. I feel like for a photographer and videographer, working with the camera brand that you used already is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's something that does not come up often, and it's definitely one of the highlights in my career so far. Following that, I worked with DJI, the drone company, and a bunch of incredible watch brands. While this was all happening, the Into the Mind podcast started ticking over, and the travel went to whole new levels of cruising. Swam with whale sharks in the Philippines, explored the islands of Thailand, spent a few weeks with the monkeys in Bali, had an incredible sunrise over the Opera House in Australia, and after that, I went to Sri Lanka. After all this travel and starting to film watches in these environments, I think the watch obsession really started to take over my life. I wanted to show these watches in the environment in which they're meant to be in. You know, field watches are not meant to be filmed in a studio, they're meant to be out in the field. And I feel like so many watch reviewers have a bit of a stagnant approach to watches. It's always the same studio shot, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. I also started to get crazy ideas about bucket shots that I wanted. I wanted to be the first person on YouTube in the watch niche to do these things. And the first idea that popped into my head, and probably the most difficult to pull off, was filming beautiful watches under the Northern Lights. So naturally, I got on the first flight to Finland. Finland is undeniably beautiful, but just such a harsh environment. Minus 30 degrees is not our natural habitat at all. We snowmobiled, husky sledded, and finally we capped the night off with an incredible Northern Lights show. We've just stopped off at somewhere random. We've literally just picked a road and kind of stuck to it, and we're going to see if we can see the Northern Lights. So it's attempt 3 at seeing the Northern Lights. We've come out to this really nice little clear spot. It's meant to be a lake, but obviously it's iced over. So we're going to go out, see if we have any luck. It's Northern Lights mission number 4, and we are heading straight out to see the aurora. We looked out the window while eating dinner, and there was this kind of swirling aurora. So we're going to see if we can see it. So right in front of me are a massive wall of Northern Lights. We just pulled in really quickly, almost crashed the car, but we didn't, so we're fine. And we're just about to go and see them. I can see the pillars moving, red and green. Unbelievable, take a look at this. See the pillars moving and everything. It's absolutely incredible. Holy shit. Brightest I've ever seen it. So Duncan's not looking very well, are you? You made a boo-boo. So we're just driving to Ferry Pools and my windscreen wiper just popped off. It's just gone. My windscreen wiper just snapped off. Guys, how sad does this look? Looking back on it, it's funny the things you remember, the things that stick with you. It was the best of times, the worst of times. It was life. The car is broken down and we have no idea what to do. Nah. Now, I'm no expert, but I think it's fucked. Yes. So this is boiling water straight from the kettle, okay? So we've had to essentially just strap 2 hand warmers to the camera so that it doesn't freeze, because that's been a bit of an issue. We are just in the airport at the moment. and we've been running about like mad, and it turns out that we've actually we've missed the flight. How do you feel?
Sad, confused.
So we had a bit of an accident.
Nothing we can't handle though.
Nothing we can't handle, but my leg has been sliced open.
Oh, that's hot.
Explain the situation.
So we're out of AdBlue, which is it's like a thing that goes into the diesel to purify it. The engine now won't go beyond 20 kilometers an hour. My foot's to the floor.
So we arrived at the fuel station and there's no AdBlue. So the car is now broken down.
You got it! Yeah! Let's go!
So this is the real me, and this has been my life over the last 3 or 4 years. And I just want to say a special thank you to every single one of you for sticking around for the journey.